What's going on, YouTube? Just wanted to drop a video today. Hope you all doing great today, man. Hope you all enjoying this life, you know what I'm saying? I'm in nature for real, I feel away from the matrix. Like I'm, somewhere, private, you know, pretty much not a lot of people out. You see kids at the park or whatever playing, but that's way on the other side of the park. But this is where, I come meditate at. This is where I come pray at. This is where I come connect with my inner self at. Not even only my inner self, because, a lot of people tend to put themselves, feel like they, hold a throne and tend to put themselves, very powerful than the Most High, Most High first and foremost, gotta acknowledge him, you know what I mean? Gotta give him all the praises and all the honor, But, I wanted to drop a video regarding the topic of, retention. So I've been looking at a few content creators, speaking the messages on, retention. And, me personally, I don't feel like I'm too big for my channel, even though my channel, steady, growing day by day, and I, like I said, I don't care if I start with one like, just know, from me, talking to you all and speaking to you all, you're going to see my channel come from nothing to something, I can guarantee you that. But, I don't ever, no matter how big my channel may get, not even may get, is going to get. Sometimes I just have this way of speaking sometimes, to a point I just, speak some words, and certain words I have to reverse back on what I speak. But, when my channel, grow and get the success like it's going to, I'm never gonna feel like I'm bigger than, the other content creator or like I'm still gonna have my ears to other content creators, because we learn something every day, you know what I mean, from each other, especially on these spiritual journeys, and a lot of it can align with your spirituality and, from even your experience and everything. And, the topic that I wanted to drop, though, regarding retention is, man, fellas, you will be able to have self-discipline over yourself to a point that you will be set apart from other individuals. You have to keep your energy protected from other individuals. Not even only the female nature part, but even just certain people you hang out with, certain music that you listening to, certain conversations that you hearing. It felt good last night, man, for me to fight, my lust last night, because something, on retention and something about retention. The enemy, he try to come at you when you at your, chilling phase or just your relaxed phase, to a point, some people, before they go to sleep may be super horny, or, is a such thing as morning sex, waking up horny, like, I don't know if you remember being young and your little whippersnapper, you know what I mean, to be very hard, before you even had sex, you know what I'm saying? It just, lust, it starts when you're very young, and it's like, you fully don't know spirituality or spiritual practice to a point. Like, I feel we all as fellas when we was young masturbated the most, you know what I mean, until we start tapping in and knowing the spiritual side of, masturbating and everything, man. But the beauty of it, man, is fighting, those urges. Like, like I was saying last night, I just, I was at a state that I felt like, I wanted to do what I used to do, when I felt lustful. But instead, I beat it. And guess what I did? I went to go grab my journal and I did my push ups and I went to writing in my journal and looking at, different places where I'm trying to, live at and, different, different words or whatever that I'm trying to learn. And, I went to start reading and stuff. And what's so crazy, it felt so good to, keep myself like, I feel like when you keep yourself busy, you able to fight that lust that tries to creep in on you, because the devil love to catch you at your lowest. Why you think when people drink beer and, you know what I'm saying, smoke weed, they at their lowest vibration. So when you at your lowest vibration, it's like it tend for you to be at your weakest state, not your fight state. To fight against these things, you at a more comfortable state and relaxed state to a point you get to having these super lustful thoughts or these super lustful feelings. You know what I'm saying? And you always have to, we always in fight or flight mode through this life. It's always tests, man. And, it feel even better when you're able to ace those tests, man. And you have to, walk of light, walk full of light, even at your lowest. And, a lot of things you even have to change certain things you think, like, certain situations that you may think you have to change that so you won't start to have dreams of these things or whatever. But, you know, even I didn't even seen fellas on practices that I have met. I even have a cousin that's older. I remember he tested me, one of my older cousins. He like probably in his late 40s or probably early 50s. But I remember when I was on this journey before, 3 years ago, I was telling my older cousin about it, but I already knew my older cousin since I was young was one of the men that was on retention. Cause I remember him saying this when we was young, him mentioning like how he don't go to gyms because, it becomes a distraction with beautiful women. And, it distracts his workout because it's so much, in his, in his vision or his eyesight or whatever, with him trying to focus on a workout. And I can agree. I don't know if you fellas ever been at the gym and you just, doing your thing and a woman with a nice shape come like in your vision, like literally, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like really facing you to a point like, dang, you can't even look away because you looking straight ahead. And while you working out looking straight ahead, she's right, literally right there where you at type things, to a point like, it'd be a lot of women in the gym that when you on this journey will, come in the midst and, come in your area, as a distraction on your purpose or whatever, because, as a man, you working on your purpose, trying to, become stronger, become healthier and everything. But I remember me mentioning to my cousin, that's in his 50s about retention. And, he been on retention since I was a kid, and I felt like he already have known about these practices, but I felt he wanted to test me to know my knowledge on them. So I gave him the game of what it was and everything. And, she was bobbing his head. And I'm thinking the whole time he may have was thinking to himself, like, dang, this brother, he know what's up. He know about this, and everything. And I ended up having him on, certain content creators that I was watching at the time that's, saying these messages and everything, man. But the beauty as a man, is being able to tap in on this journey and, become focused, And when you have these urges and lustful thoughts, man, go out for a run, go meditate, go pray, go watch motivational videos, go work on your business, go, apply for jobs, work a job or whatever you got to do to keep yourself busy, because it fully, a lot of things in this life fully distract people. Like, you got men that don't even know how to be normal in women presence. It's like automatically when they see women, they automatically stare them down to a point off their lust and eyes, to a point, heck, every woman ain't gonna feel comfortable with that. You know, certain ones would, majority of these women, not majority, but it's a big count of hoes, women that are hoes, that want that type of attention and do what they do for attention. But I remember, I think I went off topic of this, but I remember, you know, me watching my cousin in public, and as well this guy that I used to work with at one of my old jobs. Me and him, it's crazy. We was both looking in the mirror, brushing our hair. At the time I was trying to get waves. And it was crazy. Like, that's another thing on this journey, man. You're going to link up with brothers that's on the same type of spiritual frequency, that's on the same spiritual practice as you, and on the same frequency as you, with you all able to discuss about this practice or whatever. But me and the brother were just brushing our hair, and I forgot how retention came up. I think it was something about, my skin or something. No, my ways or something. And I ended up telling them how self-focused I was within myself, and somehow the retention conversation came up. And it's crazy, man. Like, me and this man was literally on the same type of time. And he never told me about his YouTube channel or whatever. I just so happened to be typing, on YouTube. Like I say, I like to look at other content creators. And I end up seeing this man, had a channel. You know what I'm saying? And of course I subscribe, show love, because I'm all in for brothers, that walking of light, not brothers that's walking of darkness. But I, if I don't feel like I'm bigger to a point that I can't give a person that's walking in darkness gain, but it's up to them to apply it. If I see you ain't applying this, or or wanting to change this, or trying to change this, then I can't, I gotta, I can't roll with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be around you. And I don't look down on people, at all. But what I do love about, being around people, I love people that's working on changing. You know what I'm saying? And I know that it's a battle, but it's just a bigger blessing that you wanting to change, and you implying yourself to change, certain things that you may be caught up in or whatever. But that's what I love. People that's, making progress and everything. You know what I'm saying? It makes the road more easy. It makes you both able to connect for a reason. And, each one teach one. They actually, they grow off your presence. You grow off each other. There ain't nothing more beautiful than that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I love to drop these contents, for you all, or these messages. But, I showed the brother page love and everything, and that's the beauty. That is well the beauty on this practice too. You run into a lot of people that's spiritual, but I'ma flip you all on this note though, man. You're gonna run into some fake spiritual ones that come an angel of light, and you have to be very aware who you letting in. I'm to a point I ain't letting no one in. I don't want to let a male or a female in. Like, I want to really go further to the end with this practice, man, and really, take this practice to the extreme that I never took it to before. But I'm going to tell you, brothers, man, be aware of these ones that's going to come like an angel of light on this practice. Like, you'll meet, it's crazy, man. You'll meet a woman, you know what I'm saying? I done been in this situation numerous of times. You'll meet a woman that seems so spiritual. Look, you see how the enemy just dropped my phone? Me trying to, give you all this point. I'm still going to give it to you all. Still gonna give it to you all, relay this message to you all. But you're going to meet women that's so sweet, like, Lord Jesus. You wouldn't think they have any issues, any problems. You would think they just your matchmate, a woman that's sent from heaven. Just how perfect things may seem tend to go. And you brothers, I want you all to be very aware of that, man. Like, there'll come an angel of light whole time, you're not even knowing they got like extra baggages or a whole darkness behind them. And it's like, they came as an agent in your life. Like, you're going to get a bunch of women as agents in your life that believe in what I mean by women that are agents is me meaning women that's a part of these systems, that's these demonic systems of this world or whatever. But it's like she gonna come so beautiful too. That's the thing. She gonna be just that one. You like, dang, she's fine. Like, dang, I got her. Your brain gonna go from being on retention to want to bang her up and everything. But she's gonna come so perfect. She gonna even connect with you talking about God. She's gonna feel like, she's gonna come so deep to a point like you gonna feel like, dang, through the midst of what I got going on, she's my helpmate. Through the midst of what I got going on, dang, she came as a real sweet helpmate. She came as a real person to a point like, dang, she's sent from God. You even start to think she's being sent from God. Whole time, you get to know this chick a good month in or even a good 2 months in. It don't happen, you catch on to them fast. And I believe that be the spiritual side working for you to not be the person to be trapped in with these women for 3 years, 4 years, or years down the line for you to have a heavy soul tie from these women because they come very powerful with their demonic soul ties. But she come so sweet, so nice, and you be like, dang, I wonder if she's sent from God. You be 2 months in, whether you dating her or, in a relationship or whatever. And you start to see changes. Like, you start to see error. She go from this nice chick to now all of a sudden, like, she catching attitudes or, it's situations, her not treating you like a king anymore. You know what I mean? And I don't believe in, oh, a woman's supposed to worship a man. Like, I feel like nowadays, we supposed to worship each other. Forget this one person shit. Oh, she's a king and I mean, you's a king and, I'm a king and a woman got to worship me or a man got to worship this, worship that, worship this, worship that. I don't believe in that. But, you'll start to see changes in, the respect going downhill. She go from this woman that was cooking for you to now, she ain't even cooking no more. Like, you'll have women that will come snatch you off your path just to have you go backwards. And then she drained you of your energy, and she came as this super nice woman, even to try to drain you out of your pockets. And then now, she may have thinking in her head like, dang, I got him, wrapped in now. Now I can, control this man and make him crazy over me. Or, now I can have the power over his life, me snatching him off his purpose, coming as an agent. And you brothers have to be very aware and very careful of that, man, because, you have women that come like that. I feel like, as far as the women attraction on this journey, man, you need to attract the godly woman that's going to be sent to you. And that woman don't come immediately on this journey, man. You have to be full-fledged in. And you have to be not even searching, for that right woman to come. Where we mess up at, man, we search for the right woman to come. And that's where we mess up at every time. But on this journey, man, you have to let that woman find you. Just like, your prayers find you. You know what I'm saying? You pray, you pray, you ask God, you pray, you know what I'm saying? And you keep it pushing, man. Keep it going. And we all know God do not operate our answers from our prayers immediately. And that's the same way it goes when, you wanting that woman to attract. You just ain't go have that happen immediately. And you have to not be tricked on this journey, because this life really is a game, you know what I mean? And you just got to know how to play it. And it's very spiritual, forget all the cars, forget all the materialistic things, it's very spiritual on the spiritual realm. So we always have to tap in spiritually, man. A lot of people in this world tap in worldly. They don't even know what a fucking spiritual is. You can be communicating with people and they get lost into your conversations when you talk spiritual. But hell, let us talk about a reality show and all this other worldly shit. We'll talk for hours, for days, for drama. That's why a lot of people walk around here loving drama, because that tends to get light shared on instead of spirituality. But I just wanted to drop a video for you brothers, man, to keep going on this practice, man, and stay aware, man, and stay fresh, man, and let's go for years on this, man. Let's say the hell with sets. Let's work on a business, man. Let's build shit as brothers, man. Let's own our own as brothers, man. Let's tap into our superpower so we can get our superpowers from the Most High. Remember, man, it's the order like this: God first, yourself second, family third. Y'all have a blessed day, man. I will be dropping more and more content by the day, man. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, show your boy some love. I know I don't really, get too much, comments or likes, but something I noticed, man, everything take time. So if you brothers out there just started a channel, man, don't be in a rush to make it to the top, because when you in a rush to make it to the top, it ends fast. You get your years in, but when you able to have shit, excuse my language, having to have stuff grow slowly, that's the best way. Like I always address in my video, man, this life is not about the race, it's about a marathon, man. Let's make this a marathon instead of a race. But y'all have a blessed day, man. Y'all, I love y'all, man. I love my supporters. I love my subscribers, even though a lot of them don't get the notifications of my videos. But, a lot of things going to change on this channel, and we going to keep glowing and growing. Y'all have a blessed day. Y'all have a loving day, and peace.